Tennessee, junior year. I think it was junior year. We were asked to memorize poems. This was Mrs. Annis's English class. And I found this really nifty short poem. And we were told we had to memorize poems. I had some classmates trying to memorize long stuff. Mrs. Annis finally said, no, short. I found a short one. I'm a mean dog, a keen dog, a wild dog, and alone, a rough dog, a tough dog, hunting on my own. Not for me the well-filled plate, but a sharp word, something, and a cuff and kick and hate. And there's another couple stanzas. You can find it online. But yes, I remember that much. Favorite story? Oh gosh. Well, there's stories about my childhood. The one I don't remember, which my grandmother kept telling me, was how she got me all nice and ready for the arrival of my kid brother on his first day home after having spent a month in an incubator at the hospital. Both he and I were preemies. And she had gotten me all prettied up in a nice pretty dress, and we were living on Emerson Avenue at the time, and she made the mistake of letting me get outside. Neighbor had one of these sprinklers that oscillated. I ran through the sprinkler. My grandmother was so pissed. And I was not quite as pretty as she wanted me to be for the arrival of my little brother. And I got to sit in my little black rocking chair, and I get to hold my little brother, and I rocked too far forward, and he nearly fell out. And after that, I wasn't allowed to hold my brother for a while. So that's kind of the first story about me. And of course, Randall has his whole history in medical stuff. Kathy was, you're gonna hate this, Kathy was the absolutely perfect child. She let us sleep through the evening. She ate when she was supposed to. Sorry, Kathy, you were perfect. You were already an engineer. And your grandma said, yep, she's really spoiling you. She was right with Randall. 6 weeks, first surgery, 6 months, second surgery, 1 year, third surgery, and after that, surgeries through age 23 or something, down at Riley Hospital. But when he hit 18, the people at Riley Hospital were so used to him being signed for by a parent that they handed me the forms, and I had to hand the forms to Randall, and they went, what? I said, he's 18. Oh, yeah. So that type of thing. But of you, Eleanor, your grandma said, she's just what you deserve. Which means, yeah, we were probably quite a lot alike in many ways.
I thought it was Grandma who said that.
It was Grandma, yeah.
Your grandma?
Yeah, my grandma. My mom, actually. My mom, your grandma.
Oh, okay.
Yep, she's just what you deserve. And I went, okay. Yeah, because my grandma was passed by that time. Yeah, she passed when you were born. She had a stroke the day you were born. And here's your father on the phone out in the hallway saying, okay, I won't tell her. And he walks into the room, and I said, what are you not supposed to tell me that my parents told you? And he told me that my grandmother had had a stroke, and she passed away. So here we are, all trucking down to Tennessee in a Plymouth Valiant, okay? And I think it was the Valiant. I don't think it was the VW. I don't think we had that yet, the VW bus. But here we are trucking down, and I finally said, okay, we've got to spend the night somewhere. I mean, this is just too much. And grumble, 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 grumble. That's when we discovered DoubleTree Suites. And your father vowed never to be there again. I'm like, okay, fine. was way too expensive. It was like, okay, we made it down there, and she actually died on your grandfather's birthday, the 30th of November.
Mm.
So, yeah. And then, of course, the other stories. Oh, gee. There's the infamous, go ahead, Eleanor, you do it. And if you don't get killed, I'll do it, from your brother.
Yeah.
Which I overheard. Yes, Randall, you are not going to live that down. There were the times I caught the two of you sneaking around your big sister's room, carefully putting things back in place so she wouldn't realize that you had been in her room looking at her stuff.
I told her that at one point,
Yeah.
that we had done that when she was off at like summer camp, and she had been completely unaware. We were 100% successful.
Yes.
I was so actually proud.
Well, part of that was due to the fact that I had caught you messing around earlier, and I knew how pissed she was going to be. This was before she went to camp. And you made, I said, now you need to be very careful of Kathy's stuff, and you need to put it back where you found it. And you did. Well, she knew something was wrong because something wasn't right. And she had at it with the two of you. But thereafter, you guys were very, very, very careful. And even when she wasn't at camp, you sometimes went into her room.
Well, I had to go through her room because I was sleeping in the room past hers.
Right. But
that was the only way there.
Yes, but when she was home, you were very careful not to mess with anything.
On occasion, I would sit by... She kept her ElfQuest books.
Yes.
Right by her dresser, which was right by the entrance to my room. Mm-hmm. And I'd just kind of sit there and read her ElfQuest graphic novels.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh,
I don't know if she was aware of that. She might have let me do that.
Yeah. Well, you put them back, of course. And then
I put her Transformers back, too.
Then there's the story of Kathy going to college, and how she had orientation week, and she called to check in because I wanted to know how she was doing, and she said, "Oh, Mom, I met this great guy, and he was playing Commander Riker to my Deanna Troy when we do gaming night, and this, that, and the other." And I would let her go on for a little bit, and I said, "You need anything this weekend?" "Oh yeah, Mom, I could use this, that, and the other thing." Then I called Benny. "What are you doing this weekend?" "We're going to Terre Haute." Because I had to check out this young man who played Riker to her Deanna Troy. Mm-hmm. She never caught on to that until I told her about that later.
Yep. Didn't know Brian's name.
Nope, she couldn't remember Brian's name. But at that point, I already figured he needed to be checked out. Because...
And he met with approval.
Oh, yeah. He met with Benny's approval. The Tim Allen...
and they were actually kind of impressed by how well I could do the Tim Allen grunt.
Yeah, but... Yeah, but, Benny had everybody in stitches, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, Benny got approval, and so did Brian, and then we got engaged, and everybody said, "What took you so long?"
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, actually, Benny proposed as soon as my divorce came through, and I got pissed, and I said, "Give me a break. Let me have some time before I decide whether or not I want to do this again." And I decided I wanted to do this again, but that's besides the point. I wanted some time.
Mm-hmm.
And I got some time. 23 years.
Yep.
So...
Beat out your previous husband.
Well, technically we separated at 22 years. The divorce occurred in November 1993, so I'm not sure exactly how the law looks at that, but there would have been some legal complications for separation. And this, that, and the other. So technically, we were married 22 years, but we divorced. We were officially unmarried 2 years later, give or take. So, yeah. I seem to go through husband's bad every 23 years. So.
No prospects for round 3, though.
Oh, God. No. I don't know how many times I and fellow quilters have gone, why did I get married again? Why? Well, you get married again because it's fun. It's, okay, there are a lot of things that are not fun, but it is fun to have a companion. Someone who at least sometimes shares your interests. Your father had interest in folk music and music generally. I really didn't have anything beyond what was popular music at the time. Then Simon and Garfunkel hit. And then your father brought in a whole bunch of stuff. Folk music. He was the one who discovered Rendezvous. And he introduced me to Aunt Audrey because he found, by the way, I have a tall dragon tankard made by Greystone.
Ooh.
Yes. So I actually know where that one is. And let's see. You have your mug, right?
I don't know. I haven't found it.
Mulberry mug. I may still have it. But anyway, I've got a few other things. But he introduced me to Rendezvous because one of his colleagues at Homestead High School was into Rendezvous. And we went to Trail of Courage, and I was hooked instantly.
Costuming!
Costuming, you got it, costuming. All kinds of costuming, so I did that, and I got into that, and he was attracted by the pipe music. And then we went to Stone's Trace, and we met Rich and Helen.
I wasn't aware how early that had started.
It started back then, and we kept meeting them at Stone's Trace, and finally your father got up the courage to ask Rich if he offered piping lessons, and Rich said yeah, and the next thing I knew, we were all trucking up to Mishawaka to Rich and Helen's for pipe practice. And, well, not their house specifically, it was usually in a park somewhere, because it's an outdoor instrument, thank you very much. And Kathy got interested.
Or the Target parking lot, Scottsdale Mall.
Yeah, back when it was Scottsdale Mall.
Yeah.
And Kathy was interested, and when your band director, Terry McKee, found out that Kathy actually did play the bagpipe in a piping band, that's when the band did Brigadoon, because he actually had a piper.
I get the impression he'd wanted to do that for a while.
Oh, that was on his wish list. That was seriously. And he was going, how? It's a band competition. I need a piper she plays pipes. She really does. It's not just her dad. It's her. Yeah, because Dad came over and woke up the band at least once during overnight band practice in the summer.
Band camp. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I bet.
Yeah. And so it wasn't just your father, it was her. It was was thrilled. He was totally thrilled. Randall is a totally different kettle of fish, and yes, Mr. Owen was his advisor, and I scared Mr. Owen to death. Literally. Every time he heard I was in the building, he went the other way.
Nice guy, but no faith in Randall.
No faith, because when Randall got to high school, I heard what he was in, and I said no. And I marched in to the office. I didn't announce who I was. I just said I wish to see Mr. Owen in regards to Randall Weiner. And he thought he was going to deal with your father.
Mm-mm.
He got me. And I said, no. My son should have this class, this class, this class, this class. He doesn't like water, so no underwater basket weaving. The early childhood classes are fine because he's interested in those. But he needs to be in choir, he needs to be in this, he needs to be in that. He is going to college, so he needs to be in college prep courses. And I will be checking his course schedule every semester. And he knew I meant it, and he knew I had done the research on these aspects. And Randall loved choir.
Oh, yeah.
He had a blast. He needed musical aspect, and
He wasn't so great at reading the music, but
no, he got your great grandmother's skill of hearing music and being able to reproduce it,
mm-hmm.
because she could do that on an 88 key keyboard and with all the chords. She was the reason we kept my great Aunt Lena's piano, because she loved to play. And that great Aunt Lena's piano got hauled to Tennessee, from Corunna, New York to Baldwin, Long Island, to the basement. From the basement in Baldwin, Long Island, down to Dixon, Tennessee. Okay, I probably ruined the piano, but Mom wanted it to be a light beige color. So instead of the dark walnut, we Mod Podge, decoupage, whatever it was, we made it, or I painted it the blondish color you may remember.
Yeah, I remember it just kind of blended in with the paneling.
That's what she wanted. She wanted it to kind of blend in. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. And then it got moved to Shelbyville. And it is now still in Shelbyville at the home of a friend of my parents whose daughter wanted to learn how to play and whose granddaughter also wanted to learn how to play. So it is in a good home.
Good.
It's a concert upright, which is unusual. Great sounding board. Everybody who's tuned in says, this is a good instrument. You know, so it impressed people. So it is, we'll see. We have a picture of great Aunt Lena playing the piano, and she was a young woman. So that piano is a good 110, possibly 120 years old.
They got a good instrument.
Yeah. Great grandpa Hackerman bought quality. Thank you very much. But that's always been, you buy quality. That way it lasts. That way you can always use it well.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you don't want to buy quality, but that's besides the point. But don't buy the cheap Japanese junk, according to your grandpa. Buy the good German quality stuff.
Although these days Yamaha is making the best on the market in some regards.
Right. Well, my dad was talking about optics mostly and camera equipment, and at the time, so that was 40s, 50s, 60s. We were still not quite accepting of Japanese stuff and Chinese-made stuff because that was technically inferior. Thank you, World War II.
Well, the Japanese stuff of the day, he would have been somewhat right about, but these days, Japanese manufacturers improved dramatically. Chinese manufacturers, they've gotten better at manufacturing things, but their quality hasn't improved because they've been sort of in the mindset of make more, faster, cheaper, rather than make better quality.
Yeah. So, and you know, the world has turned and changed and all kinds of things. So, oh yeah, let's see. I found Dad's Minox camera. I still have that. I just gave all the other camera equipment to Kathy, back to Kathy. She had it for a while, gave it to me to store, and then she's gotten it back. So, and Brian's reaction was big sigh. Anyway.
It's like, where are we going to store that?
Well, it's okay.
I thought we just got rid of a bunch of her grandpa's stuff.
Mm-hmm. And it's an ongoing process. I'm going through my stuff now, trying to get rid of things in the desk that I have that my daddy made me. Actually, he bought pre-made 3-drawer ends and put a top on it. Originally, it was a corner desk, but then he made it a flat-to-the-wall desk for me. And by the way, the wax he used on that was Simonized car wax.
Wow.
Which is why it's the funky color it is, because it's Simonized car wax. And I found that out when he was refinishing it one day. He needed to polish it up. So I was like, Dad, what are you doing? Oh, I used this on it originally, so I'm using it. Going, okay, because I was the one growing up, and then later Bruce, who helped him wash Mike's car.
Yep.
So I knew what Simonized was. And it is excellent car wax, but it's a paste. Anyway, stories about me. I was in the theater. Yay, ta-da! I can blame my 4th grade elementary school teacher, Mr. Norton, for that. Because I was always a quiet student, and I was always slow. Okay, not mentally slow, just slow getting my work in. Procrastination was my middle name. And, yeah. So he called me Swifty. And he decided this was in 4th grade, yeah. So he decided that he was going to put me in a Christmas show. Okay. So here I am. I am narrating the 4th grade part of the presentation of the Christmas show in the elementary school. And I did a darn good job, and I liked it. I was hooked. And then shortly after that, I joined the church choir. And Mom and Dad didn't go to church regularly, but they felt church was important. I went to confirmation classes, I went to Sunday school, and I sang in the church choir. And in the church choir in Baldwin, Bethlehem Lutheran, by the way, I guess was I junior high by that time? And maybe it was 14. What we did, we had a very ambitious choir director. And for the one Christmas program, he decided we were going to learn this chorus. Okay? We're going to learn this chorus. And yes, I can still sing the alto to the Hallelujah chorus. That's the chorus we sang as part of, it was the final, can't remember what else we sang. I think maybe the Holly and the Ivy or something. But we sang the Hallelujah chorus. What he did not tell us, because the older members of the choir already knew, was that when that is sung, the audience stands. My first standing ovation. And I thought it was because we were all so damn good. Mom explained that to me afterwards, so I wouldn't get a swelled head, I guess. But it was like, Mom, they stood up. Mom, they stood up. They liked us. Yeah, so, and, I don't know. I liked singing in choir. I sang in high school choir in Dixon. Sang in the Methodist church choir. We didn't have a Lutheran church in Dixon. But after I got married, we moved to North Manchester. We would go to Lutheran church, and I just never sang again because apparently I was singing all wrong. Because when I sang next to your father in church, he would always shake his head at me and frown, and I figured out it was because he had perfect pitch and I didn't. And so eventually I stopped going to the choir, and then when you kids were of age to start going to nursery school, I would walk in with Kathy and Randall and you, and they'd say, "Oh good, you're here, here's my kid." Excuse me, I was going to church, not to the nursery? And they didn't have a speaker down from the sermon or anything, or the service to the nursery. So after a few months of that, I decided, nope, I'm not going to church. I am not the church nursery person. It's because they didn't have a regular nursery person, and they knew I was a regular attendee, and they could impose on me. So I said, nope, I'm not doing that. So we stopped going to church.
I didn't miss it.
Yeah, I didn't think you guys did either. Kathy didn't. We got all three of you baptized, but Kathy's the only one who's gone through confirmation.
Yeah, I seem to not recall actually going all the way through confirmation.
No, you didn't, and I don't think Randall did either. Well, I know Randall didn't, but I don't even remember him going to a confirmation class. But yeah, Kathy kind of swore off church going and confirmation class after they went to Camp Mac, and some of the older camp counselors thought it would be fun to throw water balloons into a roaring fire. They kind of exploded, splatter, and your big sister had a couple burns on her face when she came back from Camp Mac. And she said, "I don't want to go back." I said, "I don't blame you." So,
good reason.
Yeah, we're not gonna. And, you know, I wasn't in North Manchester at that point anymore, I think. And your decision. But yeah, I don't know about Jen and Tom, but I would like to see the boys at least baptized, if not confirmed in a religion, but that is entirely up to them. I know it was a big deal for your grandparents and for Pa, but not so much now anymore. So, I mean, I can see a good reason for belonging to a group, religious, non-religious, just belonging to a group to have friends, have community, have social interaction. So there are times I wonder, maybe I should join a church just so I can drag Randall along so he can make social connections. Because churches have daycares, and unlike me, Randall would love to be greeted with, "Here, have my kid for the next 2 hours." He would love that. But I don't know. Again, it's something I don't want to force on anybody, but having a community group is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, stories about me. Oh dear. Well, let's see. I've got at least a bookshelf full of diaries and journals, which I've written in. Most are dated. So you can have fun looking through those and trying to make fun of my chicken scratching. I still keep diaries and journals. You're gonna have to cross-reference them because the diaries are days and the journals are longer entries and they're in separate books. I'm going to try to go through them and put the journals, the relevant diaries, and letters from your grandparents together in individual year Ziploc bags. I'm going to try. I've got the letters, some of the letters in Ziploc bags already. I've got some of the yearbooks, the diaries in Ziploc bags. They're not all like that. And yes, what is it? Marginal places around the magazine from Mad Magazine. They're in marginal places around the house. It's like Chris said, if you have any pictures of Benny in the SCA, we'd like to see them. I'm going, oh dear. Benny's pictures are all over the house. I think I've been trying to pull them together, but yeah. So, do I have any pictures of him in the SCA? Well, yeah. I even think I have a newspaper article from Kentucky of him in the it was a picture of him in his Arab gear pre 9/11, and I even found a picture of him in his Richard Duperret outfit. I saw that picture and went, who the, oh my God, that's Benny. Before the camel stampede. And so I think I've got that. But yeah, I've probably got years of organizing. So I can't die yet. I've got too much sewing and organizing to do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And besides, I'm only 74, right? So, oh, you don't know?
Thereabouts, you know.
Yeah.
I just did the math. Yeah, you just turned 74.
Uh-huh. So
about a month ago. A little less.
I figure I've got fairly decent genes on the women's side of the family. Direct line. And my grandma died at 89. My mom died at 88. So I've got about 10 more years? 14? And I'm taking better care of myself. And I'm losing weight. I will need knee surgery. That's going to be more than a pain. I'm going to have to figure out a lot of things before I do that.
From what I've heard, it will be a lot easier to move around if you get a knee replacement.
It's already a lot easier to move around, and I have lost 15 pounds.
That does help.
Because according to my dietitian, the loss of 10 pounds is the loss of 40 pounds of weight on my joints.
On the weight-bearing joints, yes.
On the weight-bearing joints. So that's the knees and the hips.
Yep.
And the back. So.
And especially your ankles, too.
Never had a problem with my ankles. I've been fortunate. But it's the knees, yeah. And then again the hips. So yeah, losing the weight is probably the smartest thing I've been doing lately.
It's a good first step.
Yes, and it's supposed to be 6 months program in ketosis. hopefully that will reduce all the fat around my internal organs. And since I was diagnosed, about 2 years ago with fatty liver,
Mm-hmm.
I will be, actually, I had not gained any fat around my liver last year before I started this, and my gastroenterologist is going to be thrilled when he does the next thump, 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 checking the liver. He's going to be absolutely thrilled.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Well, I did it on my own by reducing a lot of things, and then now that I no longer have a loaf of bread every week to eat, plus
All by
donuts,
yourself?
all by myself, plus donuts, plus
Cookies?
Plus cookies, plus let's have pizza tonight. I'll have half a pizza. I'll give you a small pizza, and oh yeah, there are garlic nuts, and there's cheesy bread, and there's. Benny showed love with food.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And he often overshared.
Oh, but that was part of his growing up.
Mm-hmm.
You get together, you have food. His family was Cuban. No, they were Italian. Mangia, mangia. They were Mediterranean. I think that has a good deal of influence on them. But yeah.
I think you get that across cultures for a lot.
Yeah, well, you get together to pool food so that everybody has enough to eat. That's probably the idea behind feasting. For the most part. And it's also it's a display of wealth.
Yes.
So this way the leader shows his largesse, shows his wealth, make sure he's got fighting people who can actually lift a sword. And they're willing to do that because the boss will take care of our kids. You know, that type of thing. But, oh yeah. Well, anyway, this is wide-ranging and touches on all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
So we can sit down and do this again sometime.
We should.
Yeah.